Hey Reddit, I honestly don't know where else to turn. My head is spinning, my heart hurts, and I feel like my family is just imploding. This is about my adopted brother, Jake, not his real name. He's 22, I'm 25. My parents adopted him when he was 8. We had a pretty normal sibling relationship growing up. Fought over the remote, annoyed each other, typical stuff. He was always a bit more impulsive than me, but nothing major. Until he hit his 20s. Over the last year, maybe year and a half, it's like a switch flipped. He dropped out of community college after one semester, claiming it was boring and not for him. Doesn't have a steady job, just occasional gig work he finds online, most of which seems to vanish before he gets paid, and basically lives off my parents while contributing nothing. But that's honestly the least of it. The real problem is the disrespect and the taking things. It started small. $10 missing from mom's purse here, 20 from dad's wallet there. We'd ask, he'd deny it with this wide-eyed innocent look that used to work when he was 12. Now it just makes my blood boil. Then my favorite pair of noise-canceling headphones vanished. I knew he took them. Found the empty box shoved under his bed. When I confronted him, he claimed he borrowed them and lost them. No apology, just a shrug. My parents made him promise to pay me back. Still waiting on that. But the big one, the one that's causing the most fights, is the car. My dad has a truck he loves. It's not new, but it's his. He uses it for work sometimes. He does handyman stuff on the side, and just likes it. Jake doesn't have his own car. A few months ago, Dad needed to go pick up some lumber early Saturday morning. Goes out, truck's gone. Panic. Did it get stolen? He's calling the police. Mom's freaking out. Then around noon, Jake rolls up in it, blasting music, like nothing happened. Dad was livid. Turns out Jake borrowed it late Friday night to go hang out with some sketchy friends across town. Didn't ask, didn't leave a note, just took the keys off the hook. His excuse? I didn't think you'd need it. Chill out, Dad grounded him. Took away privileges, like what? He has no responsibilities. But the yelling match was awful. Mom tried to play peacemaker, saying things like, he's young, he made a mistake, and maybe we weren't clear enough about asking. I wanted to scream. How much clearer does "don't take my truck without permission" need to be? He did it again 3 weeks ago. This time, Dad had hidden a spare key, but Jake found it. Took the truck overnight, came back smelling faintly of weed, and with a new scratch on the bumper he claimed was already there. Dad lost it. Full-blown shouting match. Jake shouted back, saying Dad was treating him like a kid, that he needed the truck. Needed it for what? Now the house is constantly tense. Mom defends Jake, or at least tries to minimize his behavior. She keeps bringing up his adoption, wondering if he secretly feels like he doesn't belong, if this is his way of acting out, which, okay, maybe, but he's 22 and is stealing from us and disrespecting us the way to feel like you belong. Dad is just angry and withdrawn. He barely speaks to Jake. He locks his bedroom door now, keeps his wallet on him at all times. Think about that. My dad has to lock his door in his own house because he can't trust his son. And me, I'm stuck in the middle. I feel this weird mix of anger, disappointment, and honestly pity. I see my parents hurting, fighting because of him. I see him throwing away any potential he has. I try to talk to him, ask him what's going on, and he just gets defensive or laughs it off. Last week, I realized a necklace my grandma gave me was missing from my jewelry box. It wasn't expensive, but it was sentimental. I haven't even asked him yet. I'm too scared of the inevitable lie, and honestly too scared of what my parents will or won't do about it. It feels like we're enabling him, but kicking him out feels drastic. He's family, but this version of Jake. He's like a stranger who's actively hurting us. My parents are talking past each other. Mom thinks therapy for Jake is the answer, but he refuses to go. Dad thinks tough love is needed, but can't seem to follow through, probably because Mom begs him not to. I'm just exhausted. Is this normal? Has anyone dealt with a sibling, adopted or not, going completely off the rails like this in their early 20s? What did you do? Did anything help? I feel like I'm watching my family drown, and I don't know how to save us. TLDR, my 25 adopted brother 22M is unemployed, constantly taking my dad's truck without permission, stealing things from me and my parents, and lying about it all. It's causing huge fights between my parents. Mom defends excuses. Dad is furious but conflicted. I feel stuck and hopeless. Need advice support. Update 1. Hey everyone. First off, thank you so much for the comments on my last post. The support, the advice, the shared stories. It honestly helped just knowing I wasn't alone or crazy for feeling the way I do. A lot of you suggested therapy for me, for my parents, for Jake. Setting firm boundaries and consequences. Easier said than done, apparently. Things didn't get better. Shocker, I know. Jake continued his pattern. Dad installed a steering wheel lock on his truck and kept the main keys with him constantly. Jake complained about being treated like a criminal. The irony was apparently lost on him. The stealing continued, but subtly. Small amounts of cash, food disappearing from the pantry way faster than usual. We suspect his friends were coming over when my parents were out. The missing necklace? Still missing. I never confronted him directly. I told my mom and she sighed and said she'd talk to him, which I knew meant nothing would happen. Then came the incident 2 weeks ago. My mom has this silver locket. It was her grandmother's. It's not worth a fortune, but sentimentally, priceless. She keeps it in her jewelry box on her dresser. She went to put it on for a cousin's wedding anniversary party, and it was gone. This time, Mom didn't minimize. She knew there was no other explanation. She confronted Jake, calmly at first, just asking if he'd seen it, maybe moved it. He gave his usual blank denial, but Mom didn't back down. She kept pressing. Jake, please, just tell me where it is. It was Grandma Grace's. He started getting defensive, loud. Why are you always blaming me? Maybe you lost it. Dad heard the commotion and came in. When he found out what was missing, something in him just snapped. It wasn't the explosive anger from the truck incidents. It was colder, quieter, which was honestly scarier. He just looked at Jake and said, "Get it back, now." Jake crumbled, started crying, saying he didn't mean to. He needed money for something vague about paying back a friend. He admitted he'd pawned it a few days earlier. Pawned his great-grandmother's locket for probably like $50. My mom just stood there, silent, with tears streaming down her face. Dad walked out, got the pawn ticket from Jake's room, where Jake tearfully pointed, drove to the pawn shop, and thankfully got the locket back. When Dad got home, he didn't yell. He walked up to Jake, who was sitting on the couch looking pathetic, and said, "Pack your bags. You have until tomorrow morning. You need to leave." Mom immediately started protesting. "Honey, where will he go? He has nowhere." Dad cut her off. "That's not our problem anymore. Mom's name. He made his choice. He doesn't respect us. He doesn't respect our home. He steals from us. He needs to figure things out on his own. This isn't helping him." Jake started wailing about being sorry. It wouldn't happen again. Heard that one before, but Dad stood firm. For the first time, Mom didn't override him. She just cried silently. So, Jake left yesterday morning. He called some friend who picked him up. He took a backpack and a duffel bag. Didn't say goodbye to me, just glared as he walked out the door. The house is quiet, terribly quiet. Mom is heartbroken, oscillates between crying and being numb. Dad looks exhausted but resolute. I feel numb, relieved, guilty, all of the above. It's awful seeing my mom so sad, but the constant tension, the walking on eggshells, the waiting for the next shoe to drop, that's gone. I don't know if this is the right thing. A lot of you said tough love was needed. I guess this is it. But watching your brother get kicked out, even when he completely deserved it, is rough. Now I'm just worried about what happens next. Will he end up homeless? Will he get into real trouble? Did we just make things worse? TLDR Update 1. Brother pawned our great-grandmother's locket. Dad finally snapped quietly and kicked him out. Mom is devastated but didn't stop it. Brother left yesterday. House is quiet but full of sadness and uncertainty. Don't know if this was the right move. Update 2-3 months later. Hey Reddit, checking in again. It's been about 3 months since my last update, when my brother Jake was kicked out after pawning mom's heirloom locket. The response last time was again overwhelming. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and experiences with boundaries and consequences. Life without Jake in the house has been weirdly peaceful, but also tinged with sadness and anxiety. The constant daily drama is gone. No more missing items, no more mysterious car usage attempts. Dad still uses the steering wheel lock, just in case. The tension between my parents has lessened significantly, though the underlying sadness, especially for Mom, is still there. So what happened with Jake? Well, he crashed with that friend for about 2 weeks. Then, predictably, that friend's parents kicked him out too. Apparently, he started borrowing things there as well. For a while, we honestly didn't know where he was. Mom was beside herself with worry. He'd call occasionally, usually blocked numbers, asking for money. Dad, sticking to his guns, and with Mom reluctantly agreeing after many long talks, refused. They told him they loved him, but they wouldn't give him cash. They offered to help him find resources, job centers, numbers for therapists, even numbers for shelters, but he wasn't interested in that. He just wanted money. About a month ago, we found out through a distant cousin that Jake was working some under-the-table construction cleanup gig and sharing a really rundown apartment with 3 other guys. It sounds rough, but he's working, kind of, and has a roof over his head, which eased Mom's worst fears. My parents started going to counseling together, not because their marriage was failing, but to figure out how to navigate this situation united, how to support Jake without enabling him, how to deal with their own grief and guilt. It seems to be helping. They're communicating better, presenting a united front to Jake on the rare occasions he contacts them nicely. The boundary is firm, no money, visits are allowed if he's sober and respectful. And only for short periods like meeting for coffee. Not moving back in. He tried showing up at the house unannounced once about 6 weeks ago. Looking rough, clearly wanting a place to crash. Dad met him at the door, spoke calmly but firmly, reminded him of the rules, and didn't let him in. It was hard. I watched from the window, my heart pounding. But Dad did it. Jake yelled a bit, then left. Haven't seen him at the house since. Mom has had a couple of brief coffee meetings with him. She said he looks thin and tired. He complains a lot about how hard things are, how unfair it is. He hasn't really apologized or taken responsibility, more like blamed the world. But he hasn't asked her directly for money during those coffee meetings, which I guess is progress. As for me, I started talking to a therapist too, like many of you suggested. It's helping me process the guilt, the anger, the weird relief, realizing that his choices aren't my fault or my parents' fault. Ultimately, he's an adult. We provided a loving home, maybe too loving, too enabling for too long. But he made the choices that led him here. It's not a happy ending. Not yet, maybe not ever. But it feels healthier. The constant chaos is gone. My parents are working together. There are boundaries. It hurts, but it feels like maybe, just maybe, this rock bottom is something Jake needs to experience to even consider changing. We hope he figures it out. We worry. But we're not letting him drag the rest of the family down with him anymore. TLDR Update 2. Brother is out of the house, working a low-paying job, living in a rough place. Parents are in counseling, setting firm boundaries, no money, limited contact, and sticking to them. Mom has seen him briefly. He's struggling but surviving. House is calmer, but sadness remains. I'm in therapy. It's hard, but feels like a necessary step. Update 3. Hi everyone. It's been a while, and I figured I owed one final update to those who followed this stressful journey. Almost a year has passed since my brother Jake was kicked out. Reading back over my old posts is like looking at a different family, a different me. So, the big question, is everything magically fixed? No. Is it better? Yes, surprisingly so. But in a very quiet, gradual way. Jake is still living on his own, though he moved into a slightly better shared house situation a few months ago. He's actually held down a steady job for the past 6 months. It's nothing glamorous, working stock at a big retail store, but it's consistent, He's paying his rent. He bought himself a beat-up old car. These are huge steps for him. The contact with my parents has slowly become more regular and less desperate. He calls maybe once a week now, usually mom. The conversations are still a bit strained, less about deep emotional breakthroughs and more about surface-level stuff. His job, his car needing repairs, what my parents are up to. He still hasn't offered a deep, meaningful apology for everything that happened, but the entitled attitude is less pronounced. There's a hint of exhaustion, maybe a dawning realization that adult life requires actual effort. He came over for dinner about 2 months ago. It was the first time he'd been back inside the house for a meal since being kicked out. We were all nervous. Mom made his old favorite dish. It was awkward, very awkward, but civil. He looked healthier. He talked about his boss being annoying. He didn't ask for anything. He thanked Mom for dinner and left after about 2 hours. Baby steps. He also reached out to me directly about a month ago. Sent me a text. Hey, heard you got that promotion. Congrats. That was it. It doesn't erase the stolen headphones or the missing necklace, which never reappeared. And I've made my peace with that. But it was an olive branch. I texted back, thanks. We haven't had a real conversation yet, but the door feels slightly less slammed shut. My parents are doing much better. The counseling helped them solidify their approach. They are supportive of his efforts, but not enabling his old behaviors. They don't lend him money. He hasn't asked in months, actually. They don't bail him out of jams. He apparently got a speeding ticket and had to figure out how to pay it himself. They are cautiously rebuilding trust very, very slowly. Mom still worries, of course, but it's less frantic, more a background hum. Dad is talking to him again, mostly about practical things like car maintenance or work stuff. The extreme tension is gone. Our family isn't back to normal, because that old normal wasn't working. This is a new normal. It's quieter, more cautious. There are scars. Trust is fragile. But Jake is functioning as an independent adult, something I honestly wasn't sure would ever happen. He seems to be slowly learning that actions have consequences. Maybe losing everything really was the wake-up call he needed. Will he relapse into old behaviors? Maybe. We know that's a possibility. But for now, he's stable, we're stable, and the constant crisis mode has ended. Therapy helped me immensely to accept that I can love my brother and hope for his best, without being responsible for his choices or letting them destroy my peace. Thank you again, Reddit, for listening and offering advice during one of the hardest times for my family. It made a difference. TLDR final update. Almost a year after being kicked out, brother, now nearly 23, has a steady job, his own place shared, and a car. Contact is cautious but regular and civil. He came for dinner once, awkward but okay. Still no big apology, but entitlement is reduced. Parents maintain boundaries, which seems to have worked slowly. Family isn't fixed, but is stable and healing. Cautiously optimistic. Thank you all.